Item number 8, proclamation recognizing February is Black History Month. Holly Williams, Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners. Longinos Gonzalez Jr., Vice Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
Commissioner Williams.
Good morning. I would like to move the proclamation recognizing February as Black History Month in El Paso County. Whereas for generations, African Americans have exemplified the American spirit by overcoming struggles, breaking down barriers, and striving for equality for themselves and others. And whereas African American history plays a significant role in the American story, making this great nation a better place to live, work, and play for everybody. And whereas El Paso County and the Pikes Peak region has had among its past and present residents many African American leaders, educators, and social justice pioneers with state, national, and international historical prominence, including Reverend A. Wayman Ward, Ruth and John Stokes Hawley, Lulu and Leonard Pollard, Samuel C. Hunter Sr., Samuel C. Hunter Jr., Clarence Shivers, Vera Gang Scott, Leon Young, Fannie Mae Duncan, and others. And whereas the strength and determination of men and women like these remind us that our region is made up of people whose contributions continue to make it stronger and better. And whereas since 1976, February has been designated as Black History Month in the United States, in which the stories of strong men and women and the events that have shaped the African American experience in the U.S., Colorado, and El Paso County should be recognized and celebrated. Now, therefore, the Board of El Paso County Commissioners hereby recognizes February 2020 as Black History Month in El Paso County, Colorado, and reminds everyone to use this commemoration of Black History Month to serve as a reminder of the need for meaningful dialogue and shared commitment to collective action that uplifts and empowers. Done this 25th day of February 2020 at Colorado Springs, Colorado. The Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado. Chairman Mark Waller, Vice Chairman Longinos Gonzalez Jr., members Stan VanderWerf, Holly Williams, and Cami Bremer, and attested to by Chuck Broerman, County Clerk and Recorder.
Second. All right, that's been moved and seconded. Let's open it up for some discussion. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this proclamation? Please come down, state your name, sign in, state your name, and then you may begin.
I always have to sign in.
Always have to sign in, part of the historical record, even though everybody knows who you are.
Morning. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Henry Allen. I'm the president of the Pikes Peak Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the only organization organized and led by Dr. King. I appreciate your proclamation this morning. A year ago, I stood here and thank you. But I kind of say what I said a year ago. I appreciate the effort that you're putting into it, but there's more to be done in our community toward recognizing Black history. And even across the country, we cannot, and I believe once a month, the African Americans in this country have done more for this nation, from building its capital, for chopping his cotton, from building the South, than just 28 days a year, 29 in leap year. So I throw it again on you, Mr. Chair, as I did last year. El Paso County be bold and initiate something that recognized more than once a year. Okay, look at what I didn't hear what, there was an African American that came to our community with General Palmer, the first African American male that entered into this great county of ours. Let's do something to recognize, let's work on something to get our schools talking and discussing Black history. Again, I appreciate the proclamation, but if it takes coming back again next year to say the same thing, I'll do that until we get there. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Frank Lytle, and I'm representing the NAACP of Colorado Springs. And to me, Black history is intertwined with American history. We've made contributions along with all other ethnicities. And I, too, am glad that we are celebrating it. And two, it is an educational process. It gives us as African-American youth and elderly people a chance to understand our own history where you just don't see it in the American school systems. And to me, history is something that occurs every day, and that includes Black history, and we have to recognize that. And yes, Martin Luther King was an incremental part of the history, but Martin Luther King had helpers. He had John Abernathy. He had a schoolmate of mine, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and many others that are part of Black history. And Black history is a part of everything in historical endeavors to include the sciences, religion, and every field of human endeavor we're included. So it is a great thing that we recognize it this month, and I applaud the county commissioners for coming forward and giving us a significant day to acknowledge that. And I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on this proclamation? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it up here for some discussion and then a vote. Who would like to kick us off? Commissioner VanderWerf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to express my appreciation for the comments made this morning. And of course, having been a commissioner here for 3 years, we have done this every year, and I think it's so important to continue to recognize the contributions of everybody in our community to our community. There is absolutely no doubt that the Black community is an integral and critically important part of our community, and I appreciate the comments, and I'm going to reflect on these comments for a second. The first one, to celebrate Black history, but to celebrate the history of everybody, the ancestry for everybody all year long. I think that's really, really important. And you know, what are we here for? Governments are constituted among men to ensure that inalienable rights are delivered to all of us. And those include liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But in this particular case, it's also specifically about freedom and equality of opportunity. This is so important. When people see the opportunities and know that they can go somewhere in their lives, they will work hard for themselves, they'll work hard for their families, and they'll work hard for the nation because they know they will be rewarded. So I do appreciate everything that we're doing today in recognizing Black History Month. I also appreciate the second comment, that Black history is American history. And I actually like to say the opposite of that as well. American history is Black history. It's both. It's intertwined. It's connected. These are important things for us to continue to remember as we reflect on our great nation and where we've gotten to over the many hundreds of years. So again, I just want to say thank you to the folks that came up and spoke. I'm honored to continue to do this year after year to make sure that we never forget, right, that we are all doing this together, all working together to make ourselves, our lives, our families, and our country a better place for everybody. Thank you very, very much.
Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is my microphone on? Sorry. Thank you for making sure that this beautifully written proclamation put together by both of your organizations made it in front of us today, and I'm honored to vote on that. You know, there's a list of names of very influential Black Americans, El Paso County residents who have contributed to the fabric of what our life is here today. And I wanted to point out that there's one name that I think is significant for us as county commissioners that's maybe missing from that list, and that is former County Commissioner Ed Jones, who was the first African American elected here in El Paso County. And he sat on this board in the 1990s, I believe, and did a tremendous amount of work really throughout the community. And I love Ed, and I look up to him tremendously. But if anyone ever gets the opportunity to sit down and speak with him about some of his experiences growing up in a segregated Hattiesburg, Mississippi, I encourage you to do that, because it's a life-changing thing to hear someone talk about that. And so I want to just kind of add the Ed Jones and many others and many others to this list. But I think it's worth bringing up here as a county commissioner that he changed the fabric of what we are dealing with today, and I think continues to work with you and your community to ensure that progress continues. You know, I think the quote's been said, but it's from Yvette Clarke. We must never forget that Black history is American history. The achievements of African Americans have contributed to our nation's greatness, and that's been said in multiple ways today. But Miss Clarke said it so well many decades ago. So just wanted to say congratulations, honored to vote on this, and thanks for bringing it before us.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just very in favor of this proclamation, something I've been working for. I know Frank and Henry, and have seen them at many things. They're great advocates for our communities, and so I appreciate them coming out and everybody else coming out for this today. You know, I see some of these efforts, you know, because it shouldn't be just once a month out of the year. It should be something that we take very seriously. And I think we've seen the county last year in being one of the leaders in the Fannie Mae Duncan statue, which is just outside our Pikes Peak Center here down the block here out in the front that you can see. And you know, as a teacher in D2, I'm proud of a lot of the efforts done by some of our schools. So D2 with scholarships for a lot of our community. D2 is the most diverse and highest in minority population, and seeing that there are scholarships, efforts there to expand educational opportunities to everybody is something I'm very proud of. And something that I've worked with Dr. Michael Thomas as well, superintendent out of District 11, and very appreciative of all the efforts in our county school districts for their reaching out. But these are the kind of things that we do need to work as a community to expand and improve so that everybody benefits. Want to make sure that everybody benefits and is that they're not overlooked. Listening to our communities, urban renewal that does not exclude areas that could be beneficial, that would include Hispanic, African American, and other minority communities in our area. We want to make sure that they also benefit from these efforts, and we will continue to do that, and I appreciate all the continued efforts to make these things happen because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, you're right. We can always do it better. That's for sure. I think the resolution is just one small little way of being able to honor Black history as we go throughout the year. But we obviously, I think, can always do this better. But I think one of the best things that we can do is honor this kind Black history and all history, American history, in our everyday lives. I try to do it just in the way I raise my children, showing them strong African American leaders over the years. This is kind of one of my favorite times of the year because we're getting into spring training for Major League Baseball. And so I always kind of go back at this time of year and I watch the Ken Burns documentary on baseball. And if you haven't seen it, I think it's one of the greatest things that you can go see. Chronicled in a very pronounced way are the contributions that Jackie Robinson made to not just moving Major League Baseball forward, which, by the way, the first part of the 20th century was one of the most racist organizations in the United States and claimed to be the national pastime, which I don't think it could truly argue that it was, being one of the most racist institutions of the first half of the 20th century. But I have a picture of Jackie Robinson hanging in my house proudly because I want to honor every single day what he went through in particular, and the history around his time coming into Major League Baseball and having to deal with some of the most horrible and vile and significant threats, not just to himself, but to his family and his friends, just because he was a great baseball player. That's something that no person should ever have to go through. So, you know, again, Mr. Allen, you're right. We can do it better. But I'll tell you what I'm going to continue to do, and that's doing it in the small ways that I know how to most successfully do it, and that's honoring the people that I've seen that have gone before that, you know, don't get enough credit for contributing to the history of the United States of America. And I think one of those people, again, is Jackie Robinson, because his contributions weren't just to baseball, but it changed the fabric of the United States of America. Commissioner Williams. Oh, no, go right ahead. No, why don't you come up? We'll give her the last word.
Just want to say, part of the civil rights movement was the passage in 1965 of the Voting Rights Act that would give a voice and franchise to African American voters, and we're very proud here in El Paso County, Clerk and Recorder's Office and our election department. We have a vote center at the Victory World Outreach Center. We'll have one in November at Sand Creek Library, and with the installation of a drop box at Leon Young Sports Complex, it further honors his role in this community. Leon Young, and a key member of the city council, and as vice mayor, a civil rights leader, and we in our small way acknowledge that and the fruits that he given this community by having a drop box at his sport complex. So we're very honored to be able to do that.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, and thank you for letting me sponsor this resolution today. I've talked about this in January as well, when I got to see the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C. I was just amazed, and I look forward to maybe having some time on this trip back to D.C. to spend some serious time there and go into the bookstore and look at things. But we have some great people in our community, and whether or not I agree with them on their viewpoints, they are great leaders. So Willie Brazil, Commissioner Ed Jones, Commissioner Gerald Glenn, Leon Young, Lulu Pollard, she has a park up by my old house, Pula Davis, Promise Lee, Stephanie Rose Spalding, Harriet Tubman from the Civil War. I just think there's so many people who have made such a big difference on issues when we've needed them. Martin Luther King, and that we are coming so much further ahead than we've ever been. And I do believe it's very important we take the time to teach our kids about this history and about what the Black people suffered in the Civil War and after, through, you know, even the 70s and 80s, and continue to hope that we will make progress on making sure that we are in America for all people. And so thank you for letting us do this resolution for you, and we appreciate it very much.
All right, thank you. With that, I will call the roll. Commissioner Bremer.
Aye.
Commissioner VanderWerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. That passes unanimously. We will stand in a brief recess for a picture.